everyone. So today we'll be looking at character modeling inside Rhinoceros. Now, prior to Maya actually getting introduced and becoming much more famous for character modeling as well as animating, Rhino was also utilized for character modeling. Now, the reason for character modeling being easy inside Rhinoceros is because you always work with NURBS and there are some surfaces that you can easily adapt according to your characters. So for today's example, we'll take the simple example of Mr. Henry. Think as 90s kids will actually be aware of this character. So this is from a show called Oswald. And the reason why I'm picking up this example is it's rather simple to actually recreate. Let's download the image. Now once I have this, to get the same image into Rhinoceros, go to Surface Creation tab and click on the option called Add a Picture Plane. You can browse to wherever the downloaded file is, and now you can place it on your screen. I will be placing it simply on my front viewport since I want the entire character to actually stand upright. Once you have your drawing in place, now what you'll have to do is go to the Layers tab, create a new layer called Curves. This is the layer that we'll actually be using to create all the curves inside of. Now I will also lock this layer. Once this layer has been locked, now we go into understanding how we can draw these curves. For drawing of these curves, I'll be using the tool called Curve from Interpolate Points or an Interpolate Point Curve. Now I can start drawing my lines. I'm going to switch off my grid snap so that I can have smoother lines. And I'm concentrating on drawing the body at the first. We'll begin with that. I have one curve that goes this way. I can also change the layer color so that it's easily visible. I'm going to change it to a red. And this is the line that we're working with now. To change your curve's geometry, you can turn on your control points by using F10. And you can also reposition these points in order to get the exact curve that you're looking for. Using the same tool again, I'm going to be drawing the other portions. Now an interpolate curve is much more easier than a control point curve for drawing of your lines, largely because of the fact that it allows for easier lines to be drawn and the control points stick to the places where you're placing them on the screen. And there we have it. We have the outline curves drawn for the body of the character. Now let's also sketch this out. Now this character, even though that we have taken up a two-dimensional drawing of it, we are aiming for a three-dimensional object, for which I'll also need my curves in the other directions. Now I have a curve that spans across one direction. I will also be needing the curves that will be spanning across the other direction, which will then define the three-dimensional quality to it. Once I have this, I can also specify some circles at intermediate levels, and these will actually form the exact volume that we require for our entire object. Now, one thing that I need to make sure of is at junctions such as these. So at a junction where you have more than one or two curves meeting, I will have the two curves that I've drawn right now, and I'll also have two more curves in the other direction. Now I need to make sure that all of these curves meet at a singular point. Now if they don't meet at a singular point, we'll be seeing what the problem with that will be. But for now, let's start off with all of these points meeting each other. Inside Rhinoceros, I'll select both of these curves. Since they're two separate curves right now, I will also be joining them. Once I've joined them, I'll split them across the center. So I'm drawing a straight line, and now I will be selecting my outermost curves to split them. Type in split, select the cutting edge, then say enter. So now you will have two portions of the outermost curve. Next, coming to drawing of the other two curves in the other directions. For that, I will again use an interpolate point curve. Select that point that we are starting off with. I'll be moving into my right viewport, and now I can draw my other two portions as well. You can also keep looking at your other viewports to sort of see where you're actually drawing these curves at. I'm trying to define its belly region. And once this is done, you can then go snap to the bottommost point over here. Now, once this curve has been drawn, go over to your top viewport and make sure that this curve is actually aligned. And by alignment, what I mean is they sit in one singular line. And so that when you're modeling the things or using these curves for creating the surfaces, it'll be much easier. You can use your gumball to actually move these control points in places that you actually want it to be at. Constantly keep making sure that that is the exact type of curve that you actually want in your top viewport. Now, once I've created one side of it, I will then mirror the other side. Selecting the same point, make sure that your copy is on yes, and then mirror it on the other side. Now you can see that I have both of my sides ready. But we also do have some kinks to manage. For those, you can actually select the points that are causing the kinking to occur, and you can either move them down or you could also even delete them. I will only be moving them down to achieve the required curvature that we actually want. Yes, and that should help us. Next, the central curve that we're drawn for the splitting, I will be making sure to delete that before I proceed. Now I shall start drawing my circles. I can draw my circles in my top viewport. These circles are something that I can utilize for placing according to the places that I want. Right now I've created a circle for the neck region of it. I might need slightly a larger one. So let's scale it up by a slight bit. Yeah, I think that makes sense for us. Similarly, I can also create a few more circles. One of this size, and I can bring this to the belly region. We can position according to what we actually require. And then we can also have one for the midriff region. Let's bring this down to see where this sits. You can be much more precise with the way in which you draw these curves. For now, our larger agenda for this model is to understand how I can actually make this model at ease. So let's also scale this a slight bit. I'm also going to make sure that it sits to my other viewports as well. That should do it for us. So once I have all of these curves ready, you can turn off your default layer, which has the image drawn inside it, and you will see your set of curves this way. I think this is also something that we need to change the size of. slightly larger curve is what I'll be requiring. So I have this here as well as it sits here as well. Just making sure that it's aligned. Alright, so once everything is done, make sure that the vertical lines that you have are all separate lines and they're not joined with each other. Now I can select everything. Now we have tried forming a network of curves. That is, there are curves going in the vertical direction as well as curves that are going in the horizontal direction. Once you achieve this, it will form a network of curves for you. Now to achieve the character surface, I will go into a tool called Surface from Network of Curves. And you can see that the network of curves are actually producing a surface out of it. You can say OK. And then you will have your character model ready. You can also change, let's change the color up to a separate color to be able to view this easily. This will be your model. Now the advantage of using surface from network of curves is if I select this surface, turn on my control points using F10 or this icon here, you can see the number of control points that you're actually going to be working with. You can actually use any of these to mold your geometries accordingly. Therefore, the portions of the body is something that you can manage really easily. Let's say we want to increase the face portion of it by giving it some definition. I can also do that by just using my control points. And I will be then producing different definitions for my character itself. Hope you guys like this video. To see more of our videos, please like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you.